A respected teacher is publicly humiliated and thrown out of an upscale store by a racist manager who assumes she doesn't belong. What he doesn't know, she's connected to the one person who can end his career in hours. Sometimes karma doesn't wait. It arrives with receipts, witnesses, and the power to rewrite everything. The polished marble floor reflected the fluorescent lights like a mirror. Maya Richardson stood frozen between two security guards, their hands hovering near her elbows. Around her, Saturday shoppers clutched their designer bags and stared. Store manager Derek Whitmore crossed his arms. His voice carried across the silent boutique. "I'm going to ask you one more time to leave peacefully." Maya's throat tightened. "I haven't done anything wrong. You've been reported for suspicious behavior." Derek's eyes traveled from her worn flats to her simple emerald green dress, the one she'd saved 3 months to afford. "We have standards here." A woman in a royal blue coat turned away. A teenager's phone stayed pointed at the scene. The security camera above the register blinked its red light steadily. Maya's hands trembled. "I was shopping." "I have money." People like you," Derek interrupted, his smile sharp as glass, "don't shop here. They cause problems. They make other customers uncomfortable." The words landed like stones. Maya felt every eye in the store weighing her skin, her clothes, her right to exist in this space. "Either you walk out now," Derek continued, stepping closer, "or security will escort you. Your choice." The silence pressed down. Maya looked at the other shoppers. No one met her gaze. The saleswoman who'd helped her earlier studied the floor. The teenage boy kept filming. Maya lifted her chin. "I'll leave." "Smart decision." Derek gestured to the guards. "Make sure she doesn't come back." They walked her to the door. Every step echoed. Every eye followed. The glass doors closed behind her with a mechanical hiss. Through the window, Derek adjusted his tie and smiled. Business as usual. Maya stood on the sidewalk. The emerald dress felt heavy in her shopping bag, tags still attached. Behind her, the store glittered like nothing had happened. 6 hours earlier, Maya had woken with rare excitement. Saturday morning light filtered through her small apartment windows. She'd graded papers until midnight, written college recommendation letters until 2. Her students deserved her best effort. They always did. The coffee maker gurgled while she reviewed her weekend plans. Grocery shopping, laundry, and one special item, the emerald dress she'd seen online 3 months ago. She'd saved $20 each paycheck. Teacher salaries didn't allow for luxuries, but sometimes you had to claim something beautiful for yourself. Her mother would have approved. Elaine Richardson had worked 3 jobs to put Maya through college. "Baby, you wear your dignity like armor," she'd say, pressing Maya's school uniform each night. "Never let anyone make you small." Maya had become the teacher her mother dreamed of. Her 10th grade history students called her Ms. R and filled her classroom after school. She taught them about civil rights movements and asked them to see themselves as change makers. "History isn't just the past," she'd tell them. "It's happening right now in every choice we make." Last week, student Jasmine had hugged her goodbye. "You make me believe I matter, Ms. R." "You do matter," Maya had whispered back. "Always." Now Maya finished her coffee and checked the store's website. The boutique had opened downtown 6 months ago. Polished marble, crystal chandeliers, window displays that looked like art installations. She'd walked past it dozens of times, never quite brave enough to enter. Today felt different. She'd earned this. She deserved to walk into beautiful spaces and be treated with respect. Maya showered, styled her hair, chose her nicest flats. She looked at herself in the mirror. 34 years old, teacher, daughter, human being worthy of dignity. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. The morning stretched ahead full of possibility. She had no idea how quickly possibility could curdle into humiliation. The boutique smelled like lavender and leather. Maya stepped through the glass doors at 11:30. A saleswoman in a crisp white blouse glanced up, then away. The store held maybe 15 customers, all browsing quietly among racks of expensive fabric. Maya found the emerald dress immediately. It hung near the back, catching light like a jewel. She touched the fabric, softer than she'd imagined. The price tag made her wince, but she'd saved enough. Barely. "Can I help you?" The saleswoman appeared beside her, voice polite but guarded. "I'd like to try this on, please." "Size 8. The woman hesitated. "Let me check if we have that in stock." Maya waited. She noticed other customers being helped immediately, ushered toward fitting rooms with warm smiles. 20 minutes passed. The saleswoman returned empty-handed. "I'm sorry, we don't have your size." Maya pointed at the dress. "That's a size 8. The tag is visible. That's our display model. It's not for sale." "The website said you had 3 in stock." The saleswoman's smile froze. "I'll need to check with my manager." She disappeared into the back. Maya felt eyes on her. A woman in pearls whispered to her companion. A man in an expensive suit glanced at Maya, then at the exit as if calculating escape routes. Derek Whitmore emerged from the office, tall, mid-40s, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He approached Maya with the careful steps of someone approaching a potential threat. "Is there a problem?" His tone suggested she was the problem. "I'd like to purchase this dress. I was told my size isn't available, but are you sure you're in the right store?" Derek's eyes traveled over her deliberately. "Our prices are quite high." Maya's spine straightened. "I'm aware of the prices. I have saved specifically for this dress." "Saved?" Derek repeated the word like it tasted bitter. "Look, I don't want any trouble. We've had issues with people coming in, trying things on, then claiming they were discriminated against when they couldn't afford to buy anything. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Derek's voice rose slightly. Other customers turned to watch. "We reserve the right to refuse service." Maya's heart hammered. "You're refusing service because we have standards." Derek stepped closer, lowering his voice to a hiss. "Because people like you don't shop here. You make our real customers uncomfortable. You cause disturbances." "I haven't caused any." Derek raised his hand. "Security." 2 guards appeared as if they'd been waiting. Young men with blank faces and radios clipped to their belts. They flanked Maya without touching her. "Escort her out," Derek said calmly. "And make sure she understands she's not welcome back." The saleswoman looked away. Other customers pretended to browse. The teenager near the window raised his phone. Maya saw herself in the security mirror, small, alone, surrounded. "I'll leave," she said quietly. "But you should know this is illegal." Derek smiled. "So sue me." Maya's car smelled like old coffee and the lavender air freshener her mother had given her last Christmas. She sat in the driver's seat, hands gripping the steering wheel. The emerald dress lay crumpled in the passenger seat, tags still attached. She'd bought it at another store out of spite. But the victory felt hollow. Her phone buzzed. Text from Jasmine. "Ms. R., thanks for writing my recommendation letter. You believe in me when I don't believe in myself." Maya's eyes burned. She taught her students that dignity was a birthright, that no one could take their worth, that speaking up mattered. She'd stood in that store and let a man erase her in front of strangers. The worst part wasn't Derek's words. It was the silence. 15 people watched her humiliation and said nothing, did nothing, reached for their phones to capture content, but not to defend humanity. Maya remembered her mother's hands, cracked from chemicals, always moving, always working. Elaine had cleaned offices for 20 years, including downtown corporate buildings. She'd come home exhausted, but never defeated. "Baby," she'd say, pressing Maya's school uniform, "hold your head high. Excellence is your armor." But today Maya's armor had failed. Or maybe she'd failed her armor. She thought of Monday morning, facing her classroom, teaching civil rights, telling students to stand up for justice. How could she look them in the eye when she'd walked out quietly, accepting dismissal like a verdict? Her phone buzzed again. "Jasmine, you always say our voices matter." "I'm going to remember that." Maya closed her eyes. Her voice had mattered today. Derek had simply refused to hear it. The parking lot stretched empty around her. Saturday afternoon, shoppers moved between stores carrying bags, laughing. Normal life continued while hers felt suspended. She started the car. Home waited. Grading papers waited. Pretending everything was fine waited. But something had shifted inside her. A quiet decision forming like a storm gathering strength. Maya drove home on autopilot. The city blurred past. She thought of her mother's hands again. How they'd shaped her entire life. Elaine Richardson had raised Maya alone after her father left. 3 jobs. Daycare assistant mornings, retail clerk afternoons, office cleaner nights. Maya remembered being 7, visiting her mother at the downtown office building. Watching Elaine push her cart through corporate hallways, emptying trash bins, wiping down conference tables, where decisions got made by people who never saw her face. "Why do you work so hard, Mama?" Maya had asked. Elaine had knelt down, meeting her eyes. "Because you're going to college, baby. Because you're going to have choices I never had. Because excellence is our armor, and I'm making sure yours is bulletproof." Maya had gotten scholarships, graduated summa cum laude, became the teacher her mother dreamed of. She remembered her first day teaching, wearing a dress Elaine had bought her, standing before 30 skeptical teenagers. "My mother cleaned offices so I could stand here," Maya had told them. "She taught me that dignity isn't given, it's claimed." Every single day the students had listened. Some had cried. Jasmine, struggling with self-worth, had stayed after class. "My mom works 2 jobs too." "I didn't know that could lead somewhere." "It leads everywhere," Maya had promised. Now Maya parked in her apartment complex. Her mother's voice echoed, "Excellence is your armor." But what happened when excellence wasn't enough? When you could be educated, kind, financially prepared, and still get thrown out of a store like trash? She carried the emerald dress upstairs. Her apartment welcomed her with familiar silence. Photos of her mother lined the mantel. Elaine had died 2 years ago, heart attack at 61. She'd worked herself to death so Maya could have better. Maya hung the dress in her closet. It looked beautiful. It felt like defeat. She opened her laptop. Started searching. Discrimination complaint process. Store racism legal action. The words blurred. Legal battles took years. Derek would keep his job, keep humiliating others, keep smiling that cold smile. Then she remembered something. Her mother's old contact list. A small leather notebook Elaine had kept, filled with names of people she'd helped over the years. "You never know when kindness comes back around, baby." Maya found the notebook in a memory box, flipped through pages of names and phone numbers, written in her mother's careful handwriting. There, James Chen, Regional Director, Lux Retail Group. Her mother's note beside it. Good man. Helped him when he was starting out. He remembers Lux Retail Group, the boutique's parent company. Maya's hands steadied. This wasn't revenge. This was accountability. Maya stared at James Chen's name. She remembered him vaguely. A young man in a suit who'd once brought her mother flowers and a thank-you card. Maya had been in high school. Elaine had helped James when he was new, taught him office systems, covered for him when he made rookie mistakes. "Your mother saved my career," he'd told Elaine. "I won't forget that." Had he meant it? Or was it just corporate politeness? Maya's finger hovered over her phone. Calling felt like admitting she couldn't handle this alone, like trading on her mother's legacy instead of standing on her own strength. But her mother's voice came back, "Smart women use every tool available." "Pride is expensive, baby. Dignity is priceless," Maya dialed. The phone rang 3 times. A professional voice answered, "James Chen." "Mr. Chen, this is Maya Richardson, Elaine Richardson's daughter." A pause. Then warmth flooded his voice. "Maya, my God, how long has it been? How's your mother?" "She passed 2 years ago. Heart attack, I'm so sorry." She was an extraordinary woman. I owed her everything. Maya's throat tightened. "I'm calling because I need help. Something happened today at one of your stores." She told him everything. Derek's assumptions, the public humiliation, the silence of witnesses. Her voice stayed steady, until she described the moment security flanked her. Then it cracked. Which store? James's voice had gone cold. The downtown boutique. The manager's name is Derek Whitmore. I know Derek. Something dangerous entered James's tone. He's been a problem. We've had complaints, but nothing documented enough to act on. He's careful. Covers his tracks. He was very careful today, Maya said. There's security footage. And witnesses. A teenager was filming. Give me 2 hours, James said. Don't do anything else. I'm handling this personally. Why? Maya asked. Why would you do this for me? Because your mother taught me something important when I was young and stupid and about to lose everything. She taught me that how you treat people when no one's watching defines who you are. Derek thinks no one's watching. He's wrong. James hung up. Maya sat with her phone in her lap. Hope flickered, dangerous and fragile. She'd made the call. Claimed her voice. Used her resources, but doubt crept in. Would James actually follow through? Or would corporate protection kick in? Derek would apologize and nothing would fundamentally change. She thought of her students. Monday's lesson on the civil rights movement. Rosa Parks refusing to move. Ruby Bridges walking through screaming crowds. They'd been so much braver than she felt. The emerald dress hung in her closet. She'd wear it or she wouldn't. Either way, she'd shown up today. She'd existed in a space that wanted her invisible. That had to count for something. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, she answered. Ms. Richardson? This is Brandon. I was in the store today. The teenager filming. I saw what happened. If you need a witness, I'll testify. What that manager did, it was evil. And everyone just watched. Maya's eyes burned. Thank you. My mom says silence makes us accomplices. I should have said something in the moment. But I'm saying it now, one voice joining hers. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that's how change always started. One person deciding that silence cost too much. James Chen walked into the downtown boutique at 4:30 Saturday afternoon. He wore jeans and a casual jacket. Nothing that screamed corporate authority. The saleswoman, who'd ignored Maya earlier, approached with a professional smile. Welcome to Lux. Can I help you find something? I'm browsing, thanks. James moved through the store, observing. He noticed how staff tracked certain customers more closely than others. How smiles varied in warmth depending on appearance. How subtle exclusion operated. Derek Whitmore stood near the register, chatting with an older couple. He didn't recognize his own regional director. James had promoted Derek 8 months ago, based on impressive sales numbers. Now he wondered what those numbers had cost. James approached the register. I'd like to speak with the manager, please. Derek turned, sizing him up. Seeing jeans and casual wear, his smile turned condescending. I'm the manager. What seems to be the problem? No problem. I'd like to review today's security footage. Derek's smile faltered. Excuse me? That's company property. We don't just show footage to customers. James pulled out his phone. Showed his employee ID. James Chen, Regional Director, Lux Retail Group. I'm not a customer. The color drained from Derek's face. He recovered quickly, smile snapping back into place. Mr. Chen, I apologize, I didn't recognize you. Is this a surprise inspection? Something like that. The footage, please. From 11 a.m. until now. Of course. Right away. Derek's voice stayed smooth, but his hands shook slightly as he unlocked the office. May I ask what we're looking for? I'll know it when I see it. They sat in the cramped office. Derek pulled up the security system. Any particular time frame? Start at 11:30. The screen flickered to life. James watched Maya enter the store. Watched her touch the emerald dress with careful reverence. Watched the saleswoman's cold dismissal. Watched Derek approach. The footage had no audio, but body language told the story. Derek's aggressive posture. Maya's defensive stance. The other customers turning away. The teenage boy raising his phone. Security guards flanking her. The long walk to the exit. James's jaw tightened. That woman. Why was she removed? Derek leaned back, confident now. She was causing a disturbance, making other customers uncomfortable. We have the right to refuse service. What disturbance? I see her shopping, asking for help, being refused. She became aggressive when we couldn't accommodate her. That's not what I'm seeing. James replayed the footage. I see you approaching her. I see you escalating. I see you removing a customer who did nothing wrong. Derek's smile hardened. With respect, sir, you weren't here. I made a judgment call based on years of retail experience. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts about people. Your instincts, James repeated. And what exactly did your instincts tell you about her? That she didn't belong here. The words hung in the air. Derek realized his mistake too late. James stood. I need to make a call. Wait here. He stepped outside, pulled out his phone, called corporate security, locked down the downtown boutique office. No one enters or leaves until I give clearance. And pull all personnel files for Derek Whitmore. I want every complaint, every incident report, everything. When he returned to the office, Derek was standing. Nervous now? Is everything all right? Sit down, James said quietly. We're going to have a very long conversation. Derek sat. His confidence cracked at the edges. Mr. Chen, I'm not sure what you think happened, but I think you profiled a customer based on her appearance. James's voice stayed level. I think you humiliated her publicly. I think you weaponized store policy to justify discrimination. That's a serious accusation. It's a documented fact. The footage speaks for itself. Derek shifted tactics. Look, I've been with Lux for 8 years. My sales numbers are the highest in the region. One questionable judgment call shouldn't... One? James pulled out his phone, started reading. April 2024. Complaint from a black customer about being followed by security. Dismissed as misunderstanding. June 2024. Latina customer claims she was accused of shoplifting without cause. No action taken. September 2024. Anonymous employee complaint about discriminatory treatment of customers. Filed but never investigated. Derek's face went pale. Those were all resolved. There was no proof. There's proof now, James gestured to the screen. This woman, her name is Maya Richardson. She's a teacher. Her mother worked for Lux Retail Group for 15 years as a cleaner. Elaine Richardson. Do you remember her? Derek shook his head mutely. Of course you don't. People like her were invisible to you, but Elaine remembered everyone. She kept records, observations. She knew exactly how staff treated the cleaning crew versus corporate employees. She knew which managers made racist jokes when they thought no one important was listening. Derek stood abruptly. I don't have to sit here and be accused. Sit down. James's voice cut like steel. Derek sat. Here's what's going to happen, James continued. I'm suspending you pending investigation. We're going to interview every employee in this store. We're going to review every transaction, every security tape, every complaint that was dismissed. We're going to find out exactly how deep this problem goes. You can't do this based on one incident. Derek's voice rose. I have rights. I have a contract. You have a pattern. And Maya Richardson has a witness, a teenager who filmed the entire interaction. He's willing to testify, as are 3 other customers who've come forward since this afternoon. Derek's face went from pale to gray. They're lying. They're corroborating. There's a difference. James's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. A text from corporate legal. 6 additional complaints filed against Derek Whitmore in the past 2 years, all buried at district level. Files attached. James looked up. Derek, you're done here. Effective immediately. You can't fire me without... I'm not firing you yet. I'm removing you from this store while we investigate. Security will escort you out. You're not to contact any employees or attempt to influence this investigation in any way. Am I clear? Derek stood on shaking legs. This is because of her. Because some woman complained. No, James said quietly. This is because you forgot that every person who walks through that door deserves basic human respect. And when you forget that, you don't deserve to work. Here, security arrived, different guards than the ones who'd escorted Maya. They stood on either side of Derek. He looked at James with pure hatred. "You'll regret this. I regret not acting sooner," James replied. They walked Derek to the exit. Staff watched in stunned silence. The same path Maya had taken hours earlier, but now it belonged to him. James stood alone in the office. He looked at the frozen security footage, Maya's face dignified even in humiliation. He picked up his phone and called her. "Ms. Richardson? It's James Chen. Can you come back to the store tomorrow? There's something you need to see." Maya sat in her apartment Sunday morning. James Chen's call had come yesterday evening. Come to the store tomorrow at 10 a.m. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Derek's face. His cold smile. The way he'd said "people like you" as if she were less than human. Her phone stayed silent. No update from James. No message explaining what would happen. Just an invitation to return to the scene of her humiliation. What if this was a setup? What if corporate had decided the easiest solution was to make her sign something? Take a small settlement, disappear quietly. Companies protected their own. Everyone knew that. Maya looked at the emerald dress hanging in her closet. She'd worn it once, to try it on in her apartment alone. It fit perfectly. Made her feel beautiful. But now it carried the weight of shame she couldn't shake. Her mother's photo watched from the mantel. Elaine's face tired but smiling. What would she say right now? "Baby, you already won by speaking up. Everything else is just details." But the details felt crushing. Maya thought of her students. Monday morning waited just 24 hours away. How could she teach them about courage when hers felt depleted? She made coffee, graded papers, tried to focus on anything but the clock ticking toward tomorrow. Her phone buzzed. Text from Jasmine. "Ms. R, hope you're having a good weekend. See you tomorrow." Maya stared at the message. Jasmine didn't know what had happened. None of her students did. They believed in the world Maya described in class, where justice mattered, where speaking up changed things, where dignity couldn't be stolen. She wanted to believe in that world too. But sitting alone in her apartment, waiting for a meeting that might mean nothing, belief felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. The emerald dress caught the afternoon light. Beautiful and useless, just like hope. Maya's phone rang at 8 p.m. James Chen's voice came through urgent and clear. "Ms. Richardson, I need to tell you what we found." Maya's heart hammered. "Okay, Derek Whitmore has a pattern. We pulled records going back 5 years. 15 complaints of discrimination, all buried by his district manager. Customers of color followed, questioned, removed. Staff members who objected were written up or transferred. The company failed these people." "We failed you," Maya sat down. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because tomorrow isn't about making you sign paperwork. It's about accountability, real accountability. 3 other customers have come forward. People Derek humiliated the same way. They're willing to speak publicly. So is the saleswoman who was fired last year for defending a customer. Fired for defending someone. Derek claimed she was insubordinate. She was actually doing her job with integrity. We're offering her position back with back pay." James paused. "Maya, I can't undo what happened to you, but I can make sure Derek never does this to anyone else." "What happens tomorrow?" "You come to the store. The staff will be assembled. Derek will be there with HR present. You'll have the opportunity to speak directly to him, in front of everyone with the security footage playing. He'll be formally terminated, and you'll receive a public apology." Maya's hands shook. "You're firing him." He fired himself the moment he decided his prejudice mattered more than human dignity. James's voice softened. "Your mother taught me something when I was young and scared and making mistakes. She said, excellence isn't about never failing. It's about making things right when you do. I'm trying to make this right. I don't know if I can face him again. You don't have to do this alone. Brandon, the teenager who filmed, he's coming. So are the other customers. You'll have witnesses. People who should have spoken up Saturday and didn't. They're speaking now. After James hung up, Maya sat in the dark. Her apartment felt different. The emerald dress looked different. Not like a symbol of defeat anymore. Like evidence. Like proof that she'd existed in a space that tried to erase her. She thought of her mother's hands. How they'd worked to create possibilities Maya was just beginning to understand. Elaine hadn't just cleaned offices. She'd built relationships. Created networks of people who remembered kindness. James Chen remembered. Brandon remembered. 3 strangers remembered. The fired saleswoman remembered. Maya wasn't alone. She'd never been alone. Silence had just made it feel that way. She opened her laptop. Wrote an email to her students, all of them. Subject line, a lesson in real time. Dear students, something happened to me this weekend. Something unjust. I'm still processing it, but I want you to know I spoke up. I used my voice. And tomorrow I'm going to use it again, because silence protects the wrong people. Your voice matters even when you're scared. Especially then. See you Monday. We have a lot to discuss. Ms. R. She hit send. Then she went to her closet and pulled out the emerald dress. Tomorrow she'd wear armor. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Maya walked into the boutique wearing the emerald dress. This time no one tried to stop her. The store had closed for a private meeting. Staff members lined the walls. 20 employees all summoned. James Chen stood near the register with 2 HR representatives. Derek Whitmore sat in a chair near the window, flanked by corporate security. His face was stone. Brandon sat in the front row of assembled chairs. Beside him, 3 other customers Maya didn't recognize. And the saleswoman, the one who'd been fired. She met Maya's eyes and nodded. James approached. Thank you for coming. This can't have been easy. It's necessary, Maya said quietly. Ms. Richardson, James began, addressing the room, was removed from this store yesterday for no reason except discriminatory judgment. We've reviewed the security footage. We've interviewed witnesses. We've examined a pattern of behavior that this company failed to address. He gestured to the screens mounted throughout the store. The security footage began to play. Maya watched herself enter. Watched herself be dismissed, escalated against, surrounded, escorted out. The staff watched in silence. Some looked sick, others angry. The saleswoman who'd ignored Maya yesterday had tears streaming down her face. Derek stared at the floor. Mr. Whitmore, James said, do you have anything to say? Derek looked up. His eyes found Maya. For a moment she saw calculation, wondering if apology might save him. I made a judgment call, he said finally. Retail is complex. Sometimes we make mistakes. That's not an apology, Brandon said, standing. That's an excuse, James nodded. Let's be clear. This wasn't a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. This was a choice rooted in prejudice. One of the other customers stood, an older black man. He did the same thing to me in August, accused me of shoplifting when I was buying a gift for my wife. I left humiliated. I didn't report it because I didn't think anyone would listen. A Latina woman stood next. He followed me around the store for 30 minutes. Made me open my bag before I could leave. I had a receipt for everything. The fired saleswoman stood. I watched him do this for a year. When I finally spoke up, he got me fired. He told HR I was the problem. The room erupted in murmurs. Staff members looked at each other, some nodding, some shaking their heads in disbelief. James raised his hand for quiet. Derek Whitmore, you're terminated effective immediately. For cause. Your actions violated company policy, federal discrimination laws, and basic human decency. You will not receive severance. You will not receive a recommendation. You will leave this store today and never return. Derek stood abruptly. You can't. I can. And I am. James's voice cut through. You had power here. You used it to hurt people. That ends now. Security moved toward Derek. He looked around the room at staff who wouldn't meet his eyes. at customers watching his fall, at Maya standing in her emerald dress. "This is because of her," he said, pointing at Maya. "She made one phone call and—" "No," Maya said, her voice steady and clear. "This is because of you, because you forgot that every person who walks through that door is human. You don't get to decide who belongs. You never did." Derek's mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. Security escorted him through the same glass doors where he'd stood watching Maya leave. The doors closed behind him. The store exhaled collectively. James turned to Maya. "On behalf of Lux Retail Group, I apologize. What happened to you should never have happened. We failed in our duty to create a safe, welcoming space for all customers. We're implementing immediate changes, bias training, complaint review processes, and accountability measures. But words aren't enough. Actions matter." He handed Maya an envelope. "This is a formal apology letter and a settlement offer. But more importantly, this is a commitment. Your story will be used in training across all our stores. With your permission, we'll make sure every employee understands the cost of silence." Maya took the envelope. Her hands didn't shake. "I don't want money. I want change. I want the next woman who looks like me to walk in here and be treated like she belongs." "Because she does," the staff applauded. Brandon grinned. The other customers nodded. The fired saleswoman approached Maya, tears still falling. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have defended you." "You're defending people now," Maya said. "That's what matters." Monday morning. Maya stood before her 10th grade history class wearing the emerald dress. Her students noticed immediately. "Ms. R, you look nice," Jasmine called out. "Special occasion?" Maya smiled. "Actually, yes. I want to tell you a story." She told them everything. The store. Derek's words. The humiliation. The silence. The phone call. The accountability. She watched her students' faces shift from shock to anger to understanding. "What Derek did was evil," one student said. "What everyone else did was almost worse," another added. "They just watched." Maya nodded. "Silence protects the wrong people. That's the lesson. Not that discrimination exists. You already know that. But that witnesses have power. Your voice, your choice to speak up, your refusal to look away, that changes outcomes." Jasmine raised her hand. "But Ms. R, you called someone with power. What if we don't know anyone like that?" "Then you become that person," Maya said. "You use whatever tools you have. You build networks. You remember kindness. You create the relationships that matter when crisis comes. My mother did that her whole life. She didn't have institutional power, but she had integrity, and people remembered." The class was silent. Then Jasmine spoke again. "We would have stood with you, Ms. R, if we'd been there." "I know," Maya said softly. "And that's why I teach. Because you're the generation that won't look away. You're the ones who'll use your phones not just to record injustice, but to amplify it. You're the witnesses the world needs." After class, Jasmine stayed behind. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. Were you scared?" "When you went back to that store?" Maya considered. "Terrified. But I was more scared of teaching you that silence is acceptable. That dignity is negotiable. That people like us don't belong in beautiful spaces. Do we belong?" Jasmine asked quietly. Maya met her eyes. "Yes, everywhere, always. Anyone who tells you different is wrong. And you have every right to correct them." That afternoon, Maya received an email from James Chen. The subject line read, "Update. Maya Derek's termination has been finalized. We've also terminated his district manager for burying complaints. The 3 other customers accepted settlements and are working with us on policy changes. The saleswoman we rehired is now assistant manager at the downtown location. And we'd like to invite you to speak at our corporate training sessions. With compensation, of course. Your mother would be proud." James Maya closed her laptop. She looked at the emerald dress hanging in her closet. Tomorrow she'd wear it again, not because she had to prove anything, but because she wanted to. Because it was beautiful, and she deserved beautiful things. Her phone buzzed. Text from Brandon. "Hey, Ms. Richardson, just wanted you to know my mom saw my video." She cried. Then she called the NAACP. "They want to interview you. Is that okay?" Maya smiled. One moment of courage rippling outward. One voice joining another. One witness creating space for justice. She typed back, "Tell them yes, Maya wore the emerald dress to the NAACP interview. She wore it to the corporate training session. She wore it to parent-teacher conferences. Each time someone asked about it, and each time she told the story. Not because she wanted attention, but because silence had protected Derek Whitmore for 5 years. Silence had cost 15 other customers their dignity. Silence had made witnesses into accomplices. Her story broke that silence. 3 months later, Lux Retail Group implemented system-wide changes. Every store now had a buyer's complaint hotline, monitored by external advocates. Every manager underwent monthly training. Every employee learned what Maya's mother had known. Excellence means treating everyone like they matter, because they do. Maya stood before her students one Friday afternoon. Spring light filtered through classroom windows. Jasmine had just given a presentation on modern civil rights. "Ms. R," Jasmine said, "you taught us that history isn't just the past. It's happening right now. And every choice we make," Maya nodded. "Every single day. Every moment you choose to speak up instead of looking away. Every time you treat someone with dignity, when the world tells you they don't deserve it. That's history. That's change. That's revolution wearing an emerald dress and refusing to leave." The class laughed, then grew quiet. "What do you want us to remember most?" a student asked. Maya thought of her mother's hands, Derek's cold smile, James's phone call, Brandon's video, the fired saleswoman's tears, the 3 strangers who'd become witnesses. "Remember that silence protects the wrong people," she said. "Your voice matters, even when you're scared. Especially then, use it. Amplify others. Be the witness the world needs, because justice doesn't happen on its own. It happens when ordinary people decide that dignity isn't negotiable." She touched the emerald fabric of her dress. "And remember that you belong. Everywhere, always. Anyone who tells you different is wrong. And you have every right, every responsibility to correct them." The bell rang. Students gathered their things. Jasmine paused at the door. "Ms. R, thank you for showing us what courage looks like," Maya smiled. "Thank you for reminding me why it matters." That evening, Maya stood in her apartment. Her mother's photo watched from the mantel. The emerald dress hung in the closet, no longer a symbol of humiliation, but a banner of resistance. She'd walked into a store and been told she didn't belong. She'd used her voice and changed policy for thousands of people. She'd turned her moment of pain into a lesson for generations. "Excellence is your armor, baby." Her mother's words. Her mother's legacy. Her mother's revolution, continued in emerald green, worn with pride, claimed with courage. Maya belonged. Everywhere. Always. And so did everyone else. What would you have done if you witnessed this happen in real time? Would you have spoken up, filmed it, or stayed silent? The hardest part of this story isn't the racist manager. It's the 15 people who watched and said nothing. Let's talk about the cost of silence. Drop your thoughts below and subscribe.